up, guys? This is Bobo Jones, and it's been a really long time. I think my last video I made was 3 or 4 years ago. And the reason I've taken some time off is because I've had a couple kids, and I just haven't had time to make videos anymore. I've been really busy with work, plus mostly kids though, mostly kids. But got a new bike, got some new camera gear. I don't know if you can see it, maybe on the 360 camera. And so I thought now was the time to start it back up again. So today, as you can see, I am not riding on my beloved S1000 XR. I got a new bike after almost 7 years of owning the S1000 XR. This bike is amazing. And so the bike that I got is this 2022-21, the same bike, Tuono V4. And it's an Aprilia, if you didn't know. And I've been wanting to get this bike for a while. I've been thinking about it, rather, not wanting to get it, but it's really hard to justify getting anything after an XR, because the XR is just so damn good at everything. I mean, the XR is an incredible track bike. The XR is an incredible daily rider. The XR is so much more comfortable than this bike. The XR is so much smoother than this bike, and it's still ridiculously fast. So the specs on this are, it is around 175 horsepower, and it is 89 foot-pounds of torque. So again, it's only, 15 horsepower more, or maybe 20, and 10 foot-pounds of torque, pound-feet of torque, I always say foot-pounds, than the XR, but in reality it feels just so much different. The way the power comes on, this thing feels just wild and crazy and has a ton of character. It sounds way better than the XR. But in most circumstances, the XR is actually a better bike, as an all-around bike, all things considered. My bike is not working out for me here. So that's the story. I got these Tuonos now for the 21-22 model year. Come in 2 different styles. This one I got is the white base model, and they also come in the factory model, which looks awesome. It's like, Aprilia red and black, and it looks awesome. And I'll do a quick walk around of this bike, but I got the base model, and the big difference between the base model and the factory model is that the factory model has Öhlins electronic suspension, and this one has just manual sack suspension, but it's fully adjustable. And I did get it adjusted to me because when I bought it, it had 0 preload in the front forks, and I'm a big heavy guy, and so it wasn't working out for me. But yeah, I love this bike, and actually for a while I was considering keeping both this and the S1000 XR, but ultimately I couldn't justify keeping both bikes. I don't ride as much as I used to. I'm doing a lot of e-biking these days rather than motorcycling, and so I basically only motorcycle when I go out on the weekends, and occasionally when I motorcycle to work. But a lot of times if my wife doesn't need the van, and I have this in a minivan, and the minivan is a plug-in hybrid, so it's all electric to go to and from work. So if my wife doesn't need it, I'll take the van, and 90% of the time I work from home anyway. So really the main use of my bike nowadays was just for weekend rides, and certainly for canyon riding, this bike is a lot more exciting than my BMW S1000 XR is. But for everything else, the BMW is better. So that's the deal. So would I say this bike is a good first bike? No, I think everybody already knew the answer to that. It is ridiculously powerful. There's no like power mode in this, you know, like a FC09 or something, where you can make this bike sort of tame. There's no like rain mode. And in fact, this bike is so insane, and this bike just hates lugging so much, that you have to have a lot of clutch control if you're just like, you know, puttering around town on this bike. And it's just ridiculously powerful, like if you pull on the throttle. That being said, points I will give it for first bike, and again I'm saying definitely not for a first bike, is that the electronics on this bike are just amazing. So this bike won't let you wheelie and flip the bike unless you know, set the settings to let you do so, which no first rider is going to do. The traction control is amazing. It has amazing ABS. It has lean angle ABS. And so in that sense, those are all features that I do recommend first riders get on their first bike, but then you're way better suited with something like a, you know, Tuono 660 or something like that. This bike is absolutely outrageous. It does like a 2.8 second 0 to 60. I have to exit here, I forgot. And it's just, look, even in 6th gear, it just pulls like absolutely insane. So definitely would not recommend for first bike for anybody. But this is my third bike. I've been riding for 10 years, and you know, I'd say if there was a guy online who's been riding for like 20 years, but just dirt bikes, and he wanted his first like super naked bike or hyper naked bike, and he was asking if people thought he could handle this. And I do think if you're getting your first crazy bike, like if you're going from like an 80 horsepower bike or something like that, and you want to get a hyper naked bike or a super naked bike, I would say get the BMW, either the XR that I had or the single R, the S1000R, just because those inline fours from BMW are so smooth compared to these, you know, insane V4s from like Aprilia and Ducati. And they're just, even though they have a lot of power, the power is very easy to control on these. And so I always recommend people get something like that, like an inline 4 as their first like really fast bike. And then that teaches you to use that kind of power without getting in trouble. And that would be my advice for anybody. But yeah, this bike is just so much fun, and this bike turns so much better in the canyons. It just feels like it's on rails compared to my XR. My XR was amazing. Part of the reason this bike turns so fast, which I remember, is this bike comes with Pirelli Rosso 3 tires, which just turn really fast compared to, you know, the sport touring tires I had on my XR, which were like Road Smart 3s. But no, this bike also, just the geometry of it, it just turns ridiculously fast, and it's amazing. I'm heading to the canyons right now, but I don't want to vlog while I'm in the canyons because I just want to focus on my riding. So I figured I'd make this video on my way there. What else about this bike? This bike has cruise control. It does not have heated grips, so I lost the heated grips from my XR. I lost the electronic suspension from my XR. And this bike is the absolute worst for fuel economy. That's another reason I would suggest an inline 4 first, because if you're coming from something like you know, FZ07 and you want to get your first really fast bike, the BMW inline 4s at least still get great MPG. You know, if I'm doing this kind of riding now, I would get like, you know, 45 on that bike or something, 40 to 45. On this bike, I average, of course, it's a lot of canyon riding in third gear, I average like 25, 30 MPG. And so every time I ride this bike, literally, I have to fill it up with gas. And gas is very expensive right now in California. So it's just not great. Other reasons, you might want to get this bike, and one of the main reasons I got it is the sound it makes. It's just ridiculous. It's just the most amazing sounding motorcycle I've ever been on. Sounds, again, way better than the inline 4 on the BMWs or the Japanese bikes, in my opinion. And I don't even have an exhaust on it. I just have the stock exhaust, just stock factory tune on it. Another nice thing about these bikes, though, if you do want to tune them, it's extremely easy. You just buy this little dongle for $500 and you can tune it. I have not tuned it, but it's really, really easy. Some of the other benefits of this base model versus the factory model is it comes with a taller windscreen, which you can see there, which kind of blocks the camera, which sucks, but it does help the wind. Comes with lower foot pegs and an actual pillion seat on it, whereas the factory model does not have a pillion seat. It has like a little thing that maybe they think is a pillion seat, but no human being would ever sit on that. It's terrible. And that's it. I love this bike. I've been taking it out Saturdays and Sundays up here on PCH to see if we can get some engine noise. This guy's going so slow. Oh boy, why is there so much traffic so early? Nice M3. It's like my favorite color. What else? It's pretty comfortable. I'm really tall. I'm 6'2", and again, it's nothing compared to the XR. So, but I thought I was going to be really tight on this bike, but I'm actually quite comfortable on this bike. And it's nice because my knees fit perfectly in the kind of, you know, place where your knee is supposed to go in the tank. So it's very, very, very comfortable when I'm, you know, not aggressively riding and I'm just cruising. My knee's not touching the top of the tank, but when I'm aggressively riding, I can jam my knee up there. I did have to get tank grips because I have a matte white colorway and it's extremely slippery. So I did have to get tank grips, but now with the tank grips, it's amazing in the canyons. Highly recommended. And so it's fine for me at 6'2". Like, I don't feel uncomfortable. I definitely had to get used to it. And I have to get used to a few things. I had to get used to riding more and holding onto the bike with my, I'm going to open this, hopefully this doesn't sound terrible, holding onto the bike with my knees more than my hands, just because I'm leaned forward more than my old bike. And just generally not, you know, the temptation when you have a bike with this much power is to like grip the grips really hard, just because the bike is so out of control when you jam it. And so that's the other thing I had to really get used to, was not, you can go buddy, was, you know, not gripping it so damn hard, because I had a problem when I first got it just because I wasn't used to it. My hands were falling asleep all the time, and so now I've been really practicing gripping it lightly and using this awesome tank to grip it when I do hard stops or, you know, hard acceleration, whatever, just so I'm not having my hands fall asleep. But this thing turns so nicely. It's just so flickable, so easy to turn, and it gives you so much confidence in the canyons. It's really like being on rails. Oh, the other really bad part of this compared to my XR is that the brakes aren't linked on this. So on my XR, I literally never used the rear brakes, so I forgot how to use your rear brakes properly. And so on this bike now, I'm relearning to use my rear brakes for hard stops. You know, for little things, it doesn't matter if you're all front, but if you're, certainly if you're emergency braking or you're in a situation where you're on high alert, because you think somebody might pull out in front of you or something like that, you know, you have to cover your rear brakes on this, and so I'm relearning that. Everybody's being very aggressive on this road today. It's not that serious, guys. We're at the beach. And that's it. I don't know what else to say. Do not get this as your first bike. It's an excellent bike. I will do a walk around once I stop in the canyons, just to show it off. And that's it for now. I'll cut here and we'll go to a walk around canyon thing. Let's see if I can fit in between these guys. I'm definitely not getting past that massive truck. Okay, so here she is, my new 2022 Aprilia Tuono V4 RR, the base version. So as you can see, matte white, not the factory version. And as you can see, I've done quite a lot to it. The first thing I did is I installed these Hepco and Becker Panniers to it, and I'll show you what I had to do that. You have to get the absolute smallest ones so that they don't, so that you can actually put them on. But what's really nice about the base version is the base version has a mounting spot on the pillion foot pegs, so you don't have to go into the tail. On the factory version, you have to go on the tail. It's a huge fucking pain in the ass. You have to take off the, like, you know, license plate mount. This one is really easy. You don't have to go into the bike at all. It just mounts to the pillion area. So that's really, 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 really nice. They were easy to put on. Evotech frame sliders and axle sliders. Obviously all my GoPro mount stuff. This is amazing too. It's from Evotech also, and it's just a quad lock that goes on the, you know, handlebar mount. So that's amazing. I've had no issues with it. As long as you have a Samsung or an Apple phone, you can get a case for it. And what else? I really wanted the matte white. I'm not a fan of the dark gray, even though this takes quite a bit more of upkeep and you have to get special cleaning products for it. I think it's worth it. I think I love the matte, the Ducati and Aprilia matte white. I think it's beautiful. I did put some tank grips on it, which are super important. As you can see, it's coming off here and sort of like discoloring the tank, so they can never come off because they fucked up the paint job. But these seem to be sticking fine, which are the important ones. These don't look like they're coming off. This one, maybe I didn't clean it well enough before I put the grip on, but whatever, it's all good. I can keep putting double-sided 3M tape on it and keep it stuck. Not a big deal. What else? Everything else is pretty much the same as the factory. The windscreen is a little bit taller here. I have some what I imagine are fake Aprilia brake fluid ducts. And yeah, oh, let me show you what I had to do to get these panniers on. So this one would actually touch here. So I had to get this little, what's the brand called? Giant Loop protector. And so that basically makes it so that the bag never touches, even if it's fully loaded, never touches the exhaust and melts. And then as you can see, I put some heat tape on this as well. And so the heat tape plus that protect it. It hasn't melted at all. I've been checking it and this has been sticking on. But these are the only bags you can get, as you can see. The Rosso tires have been amazing, as I said. And the other reason I wanted to get bags on this is because this bike, if you don't tune it, it has a little butterfly valve here. You can see here's the butterfly valve system. And basically below 5,000 RPMs, the valve is closed. And so the bike is dead silent under 5,000 RPMs. And so that, along with the white paint job instead of factory kind of wild racing paint job, plus the panniers, make this quite a incognito, you know, hyper bike, which I really like about it. So I don't attract too much attention. I always remember when I would ride over here with my XR, you know, that bike's quite loud, and it does not have a butterfly valve, so it's quite loud even with the stock exhaust when you're, you know, at 4,000 RPMs. And cops would always get ready to come after me on that bike, and then they'd see I'm like a big goofy dude riding an adventure bike, and they would you know, get back on their bike and they'd be like, oh, this guy is not who I'm after. So I'm hoping this bike gives that kind of vibe off too, where you see the panniers, you know, I'm not wearing anything flashy. I have full gear on. I don't look like a squid. This is where I mount currently my Heel Light 2 airbag vest. And so I have a lot of safety gear, especially now with kids. I'm not taking any chances. So, yeah, have really amazing safety gear. This is the new Schubert C5 helmet, which is just amazing. I got it shipped from Europe and saved like $300 from the Revzilla price. Same thing with these Knox Pod 4 gloves, which are like the safest gloves you can buy. Got them shipped from Europe, saved like $100 on them. I'm gonna make another video about that, because if you're looking for motorcycle gear or parts, just get everything from Europe right now. The dollar is so fucking strong that everything is dirt cheap from Europe now. Of course, this has Brembo M50s. The braking is just insane on these, and the braking was great on the XR, but just ridiculous on these. But yeah, I think it's a really pretty bike. I love it. I need to clean the front, obviously. Got some bucks on it just now. I'll do when I get home. And that's about it. I'm going to keep riding in these beautiful mountains out here on Mulholland. Nice day, nice early-ish morning. And yeah, I'm loving this bike. I'm loving this bike. The reliability gives me a lot of anxiety, because these are not known as the most reliable bikes. A lot of people have issues with them. And I got it kind of new used. I bought it from a dealer with 550 miles on it, and the first service was done. But you know, you never know how the person broke it in. I'm sure they didn't break it in well, because from what I understand, the guy buys a lot of bikes who sold it back to a dealer, so probably didn't give a fuck. So, but I don't know, maybe he did. Maybe he's very responsible, who knows. But reliability is an issue. I also bought the least reliable car in America this year, so my two vehicles are both extremely unreliable, which gives me stress. I did get a 5-year extended warranty on this, so this has 6 more years of warranty. Did the same thing with my car, bought 5 years extended, so that has 8 years of warranty, just for my peace of mind, since I saved so much on buying this kind of new used. So that's the deal. Oh, I put a radiator guard. I did the cheap eBay special. Although, again, I should have just ordered the Evotech radiator and oil coolant guard from Europe, and it's super cheap. So, I don't know. I should have just bought everything from Europe. But most of this stuff I got from Europe. So, the bags I got from Europe, too. And that's it. All right, I'm going to go ride. It's Bobo Jones saying, Arrivederci.